We just have to remember when we laugh like crazy to lean back. Lean back. Lean back. Okay.
When the witch tried to get her nose.
God, you're like the most perfect human being. Hey, okay, so, it's like I've never done this before. Every time. This is the Witches, Magic, Murder, and Mystery podcast.
Yep.
And today, for the very first time, we are recording this
Awkwardly
in video form, as well as audio form. And we started a YouTube channel. So here's the deal. The YouTube video is going to be the completely unedited one. I don't edit it a lot in the audio, but I do cut out some of the ridiculous, like if we get interrupted or if we laugh like for too long. It's like, okay, we can cut down like 8 seconds of laughter here. So none of that's going to happen in the YouTube video. So if you want to see the complete unedited
raw version
and all of our silly sound checks before the podcast starts, tune into the YouTube channel. You can find it there by searching Witches, Magic, Murder, and Mystery.
Yep. And I'm Kara.
I'm Megan.
Hey.
Hello. This is going to be...
It's interesting.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Hey, how have you been?
Hey, I'm good.
I haven't seen you in a week.
That feels so weird.
It's strange.
I don't like
even
it.
when we don't record, I usually come see you.
I saw you on Saturday for a brief minute when I was making the cinnamon rolls.
Oh, God, that's right.
Was that this Saturday?
Listen.
Yes, it was.
If you live in the Nicholasville area and you have not been to Coffee at Oak in Maine yet, do you have them every Saturday?
Yeah.
These cinnamon rolls. I'm supposed to be gluten-free. I have a problem with gluten.
They're a labor of love.
Oh, my God. They're so good. And they're so worth every ounce of pain that it caused me later.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like cream cheese icing.
They sell out of them every
and they're
time.
like, they're so thick and beautiful and
yeah,
amazing. So,
like my face.
You know what I realized that I shouldn't be doing?
What?
Is looking at the camera. Because I can't. I'm not talking to the camera. I'm supposed to be doing this. So, okay, we'll get better at this, I promise.
Well, yeah. You're just talking to me.
So yeah, this story I have for you today.
I can't wait. I really don't know that I've ever heard it.
It's great. This is the story of the Sodder family. So Sodder. If you've never heard it, it is...
Get ready.
So many twists and turns, and I still am not 100% positive where I land on it.
Is it an old
mystery
story?
episode? It's older.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I'm excited. Are you ready?
I mean... Yep.
Stretch. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So this is another one that takes place in Appalachia.
I'll throw an Appalachia.
In Fayetteville, West Virginia. You know, not too long ago, I heard somebody on a different podcast. I think it was like True Crime Obsessed maybe. But they were like, how do you say it? Appalachia?
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, Kara says.
Yep.
Appalachia.
I had someone from there tell me the way you say it is I'm going to throw an Appalachia.
Yeah. I've never forgotten it since you told me that. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Kentucky and I still am never sure.
Yeah.
And that's not just Appalachia. It's on a lot of words. A whole lot of words.
Words aren't my friends.
So, real quick, sidebar.
Yep.
This one article I read about this story talked about how on the drive there, you go past this place called the Mystery Hole. So obviously I got completely derailed and I was like,
so many thoughts going through my head.
And then I Googled Mystery Hole, West Virginia, which was
Did you get some OnlyFans?
check out my mystery hole. All right, so just go on this little journey with me for a second. I'm going to read you this.
Jump down the mystery hole.
Straight from the Mystery Hole website. It says, see the laws of gravity defied. This, believe it or not, astounding experience has intrigued many people, both young and old, over the years. Many come time and again to see if they did see what they thought they'd seen or if their eyes were playing tricks on them. Yet some have gone away so bewildered that they've headed in the wrong direction and became lost. I do that every day.
Yeah.
So this mystery hole thing seems to affect different people in different ways, depending on whether they cling to the new style education or stray to the plain old CHS. That stands for Common Horse Method. Common Horse Sense Method. Never heard that phrase in my life. We have noticed that the highly educated folks do ask more questions than the lesser educated folks do.
Oh, them folks.
Whatever these unidentified effects may be, they are believed not to be a serious threat to those searching for fun and excitement. Here's the thing. I read through this whole thing of like, what is it? And I still have no idea what it is.
I'm baffled.
But I kind of want to go.
Let's go.
It's closed right now because of COVID.
Right. How far? That's how mine is too.
But it's in West Virginia. And
it's not that far.
I'm still not entirely sure if it's an actual like place where the laws of gravity are weird, or is it like a sideshow? Oh God, I hope it's not a sinkhole. I have a little ridiculous fear of sinkholes. It's like one of those things that like and quicksand.
Only if there's rodents of unusual sizes around.
Those ROUSs.
Yes.
But anyway, maybe this is just some weird house where people have like rinky-dink carnival games to play. I'm not sure. It could go either way, but we should do it.
Yeah.
We're just going to make a road trip of all the weird places we talk about on this podcast.
Somebody make us a map.
So I think that's the mystery part of the mystery hole is
we don't know.
They're not going to tell us what it is till we get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and
anyway.
you pay $25 to figure it out.
Plus the cost of travel. If you've been there.
Tell us.
Oh my God. Email witchesmagicmurdermystery@gmail.com. I want to know everything. Everything.
If you have pictures.
Oh, please.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
Okay, back to the story. So Kara, usually does the more historic cases. But I've decided this time I'm taking one.
It's your turn.
It's me. We're going back to Christmas Eve, 1945.
Okay.
And
it's snowing.
George and Jennie Sodder were Italian immigrants who made their home just north of Fayetteville, West Virginia.
Brought them there.
Oh, well, apparently there's like a whole, like, the area they settled in was where a lot of other Italian immigrants settled. So I think it's kind of like a little Italy in the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia. I don't know.
Okay.
So George owned a small trucking company there, and he and Jennie had 10 children. Okay, just take a moment. Process it. Your mom had 5 kids.
Maybe that was the magical.
Okay. I'm really sorry to Jennie Sodder's descendants. Okay. They lived in a 2-story home in an area where a lot of other Italian immigrants had settled. So, Christmas Eve. 9 of the 10 Sodder kids are home. Their oldest son, Joe, I think, he was in the army. And World War II has just ended, but he hasn't made it home yet. Like, he was overseas in the war. So, but the other 9 are there, and they're having Christmas Eve together. And then Christmas Eve is over, and 5 of the kids go up to the attic bedroom to sleep.
Okay.
And those 5 were Maurice, Martha, Louis, or Louis. Louis. How do you say it? Because if it's like King, it's King Louis.
Yeah.
But I've always like
Louis.
Yeah. So it's one or the other. Jennie and Betty.
They were Italian, so I don't.
Oh, Louis.
Maybe.
Yes.
Louis.
Age 5 to 14. A little after midnight, the telephone rang, and Jennie rushed to answer it. An unfamiliar female voice asked for an unfamiliar name, and there was laughter and glasses clinking in the background. Jennie was like, "You got the wrong number," hung up.
You're drunk.
It's after midnight on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
What are you doing? She went back to bed, and on her way, she noticed that like the Christmas lights were still on downstairs. The front door was unlocked, whatever. So then she turned off the lights. Mm-hmm. Shut the front door. I think she left the Christmas lights on, but she turned off the like downstairs lights. And went to bed. And then about an hour later...
that's dangerous to leave those on. Those were the big hot ones.
I know. I don't know if they knew that then. But foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so at a little after midnight... Nope. Then an hour after that, around 1 a.m., Jennie Sodder woke up again to a loud bang on the roof, followed by a rolling noise.
Oh.
And then she went back to sleep.
Is it the little green goblins?
It's the Kentucky Goblins from episode 2? I think so.
Taking it back.
But I just think it's funny that she's like, and went back to sleep. But
I'm
there's
not concerned.
This one time, it's been 12 to 14 years ago. there was an earthquake somewhere near here, but not really close. But because of the way it happened near like a riverbed, depending on where you were in Lexington, you could feel it.
Yeah.
And so I woke up. I remember waking up. I noticed the nightstands shaking. And went back to sleep. I remember thinking, that's weird. And just went back to sleep. I've never been in an earthquake in my life.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a fear of them because I've never been in one.
Right.
And you would think I would have been like, why is the nightstand shaking? Nope. And it wasn't until later that day I saw on the news, they were like, some of you might have felt the earthquake around 7 a.m. And I was like, right. So anyway, I can't fault her for being like, loud bang on the roof.
Meh.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
So it was sleep time.
Damn gnats.
So then a little bit later, 30 minutes to an hour, I saw both. She woke up again, this time because she smelled smoke.
Uh-oh.
So they figure out that there's a fire burning from a fuse box in George's office. George, Jennie, their oldest daughter Marion, 2-year-old Sylvia, and 2 of their older boys escaped. So that's 4 of the kids. There's still the 5 up in the attic.
Oh, yeah.
One of the older boys that had escaped, John, at first he was like, I went upstairs to wake up my siblings.
Yeah.
And then later he changed his story and said, I just called up to them. Like I didn't go up there. So I mentioned that their oldest son, Joe, was away because of the military. That was true for a lot of the like male population of Fayetteville. A lot of them were gone. And it was the middle of the night and it was Christmas Eve. So this is not a great time to have a fire. Not that there's a good time to have a fire. But So Marion, the oldest daughter, ran to a neighbor's home to call the fire department. But there was no operator response because that was back when it was just like, let me plug you in.
Yeah.
Then another neighbor saw the fire and called. But again, no operator response. At that point, the neighbor drove into town and found the fire chief.
The neighbor had to drive around to find him.
Into town to find the fire chief. Again, it's like 1:30 in the morning. Right. And they initiated Fayetteville's version of the fire alarm, which was really just a phone tree. Oh. Yeah. So the one firefighter phoned another, and they were like, hello? Wee. And he knows. And he's like, got it.
Got it. I know that was the address. That was the code.
We're going.
Just follow the Morse smoke code. Signals.
Boop, 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 boop. Here's the next bit of bad news.
Oh.
Normally, the Sodders kept a really tall ladder outside, like leaning against the house. It was gone.
Oh.
Which was odd. Then there was like a water barrel there, and George was like, I'll take this water barrel and try to put the fire out. But the water was frozen inside because it's Christmas Eve. And plus, also, the phone line was down, which is why Marion had to run to the neighbors. They couldn't call themselves. So then George was like, I know. I have all these trucks because I own a trucking company. I'm going to pull the truck over here and pull it like by the attic window and then climb up and get to my kids. And so then the truck wouldn't start. And the story said like multiple trucks. So I assume they're saying multiple trucks would not start. Okay. So at that point, George climbed the walls himself.
Spider monkey.
I think any parent would become Spider-Man at that moment. He broke open an attic window, but he still couldn't reach the upstairs bedroom.
Oh, okay.
So at this point, I got very confused because I just pictured the attic bedroom being the highest level of the house, like one room, and there's a bed in there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not what it is.
Oh.
I had to look a little bit more, and I figured out that the description is there were stairs going up, and then there was 2 bedrooms on either side at the top of the stairway.
Oh.
And when he looked in, the stairway was completely engulfed in flames.
Ooh.
So I guess he couldn't get to the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Or maybe those bedrooms didn't have windows. I'm not sure. So George, Jennie, and their 4 children who'd escaped basically just had to stand there and watch the house burn with their 5 children inside.
Yeah.
Which is like horrific to think about. Like your kids are in trouble and you're completely helpless.
Yeah.
My foot's going to sleep. It's in the bad way. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It stings.
It stings. It hurts. Okay. So the fire department was only 2.5 miles away, and they're doing their phone tree.
Yeah.
But the crew didn't arrive until 8 a.m.
What?
This is around 2:30.
Yeah.
I would think when she calls.
Huh?
So, I mean, it is also like, obviously, they were doing a phone tree thing. So it's not like all the firefighters are at the station. It was probably one of those volunteer situations. But 8 a.m. So, I mean, Jennie woke up around 2-ish or so.
You would think the first one that called was like, hey, call the next person. I'm headed over there.
So here's one thing. Fayetteville's fire chief, F.J. Morris, could not drive his own department's fire truck. So there's that. Okay.
What?
So then there was an investigation of the fire. Okay. Fire investigations usually last several days or even weeks. Right. This one took 2 hours. Yeah. I mean...
Who was this arson investigator?
They said that... I mean, it was the 40s. But still.
Right.
They said the house took like no time. Like less than an hour to just burn.
Oh,
but still... You're talking about a whole 2-story house burned down.
Yeah.
It only takes you 2 hours to...
Look through it?
So, here's the thing. They found 0 human remains in the fire. No bones. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. So that flame got so hot.
My stomach.
Oh, man.
Food
is needed. So that flame got so hot that it just disintegrated
That's
everything?
What they told. They told George and Jennie, they were like, your children must have been completely cremated. But even...
Were there still furniture pieces and stuff?
Well, we'll get to that, Kara.
Okay. This is my education coming.
The official determination...
I'll close my eyes and just listen.
Was that Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie, and Betty had died in the fire. Okay. So, I have a lot of questions. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
I mean, the fire... It did take them until 8 a.m. to get there, sure. But still, the house was burned down in less than an hour.
I'm going to phone a friend. How long does this...
Let's talk to the fire department. We got people.
Structure? Yeah. What's a structure fire usually take?
So, do we... Also, besides that part, like, do we have faith that the 2-hour investigation really dug through...
No.
And didn't even find, like to make sure there's no bone fragments. Like...
Nothing.
I'll just say it. I don't.
No.
I do not have faith.
No, I don't trust that.
Okay, so after the fire, the remaining members of the Sodder family were simply devastated.
Yeah.
And George couldn't stand to look at the remains of the house, so he took a bulldozer and basically just buried it. What? He didn't clean it up, but he'd buried like 5 feet of dirt on top of it.
Huh?
He just couldn't stand to look at it anymore.
You don't want to...
Well, at this point, I mean, they get death certificates and everything. It's like, done. Okay. So it's already like an upsetting story.
Yeah.
But here's where things start to get weird.
Oh, it goes further. Okay.
Here's the weirdness.
All right. Oh, that wasn't weird. Okay.
Yeah, we're not even to the weird part yet. All of that, normal.
Great.
A state investigator combed through the ashes and concluded that the fire started due to faulty wiring. Okay. But George had recently had an electrician rewire the house. Also, they had noticed when they were running out of the house that the Christmas lights were still on. So, like, if it was a wiring issue, they would have been off. Yeah. So that's weird, I think. I don't entirely understand how electricity works, but it feels like...
That wouldn't... Yeah.
A witness came forward claiming he saw a man at the fire scene taking a block and tackle used for removing car engines. So they were like, maybe that's why the trucks wouldn't start. My whole thing with that is... Not to jump ahead, but like, how would that person have even known that George would try to start his trucks? Like, how would he, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's taking
I'm
it
not
a
sure
little
about
far.
That ladder I mentioned that should have been outside, they ended up finding it in a nearby ravine as if someone had tossed it over so it wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know how they would have known that the kids would be stuck upstairs.
Right.
Okay, I keep jumping ahead. One day, while the family was visiting the site, Sylvia found a hard rubber object in the yard. Sylvia was the youngest.
Right.
So Jennie recalled hearing that hard thud and like the rolling noise on the roof. And so when George looked at it, he was like, that's a napalm pineapple bomb that they use in warfare. So they're like, that was like a...
Yeah.
What do they call those? You know.
Grenade?
Cocktails.
Oh.
It's a word. They, like the mafia uses them.
Oh,
Molotov cocktail.
Yeah. I was like, cocktail grenade?
Huh? We're good at this. Okay. So that's what I'm picturing.
Yes.
Okay, and Jennie, I love this woman. Okay? You gotta think about it. She's the mother.
Yeah.
She doesn't think it makes sense. She started doing her own private experiments.
Ooh.
Because she just did not believe
Yeah.
that her 5 children could die in the fire and there'd be nothing left of them.
Right.
And she noted that in the basement of the house, which I guess was kind of still preserved because he just buried it, but he didn't clean that out. There were home appliances that were still they were burned up, but they were recognizable. And she's like, so these are here.
Yeah.
But my
kids
my
aren't?
five children, and there's not a single trace.
Yeah.
So she burned her own animal bones, chicken bones, beef joints, pork chop bones, just to see what would happen. So she was doing her own little experiments. And every time she was like, I have charred bones here. like they're still here. Yeah. So then she talked to an employee at a crematorium who told her that bones remain after bodies are burned for 2 hours at 2,000 degrees. So even if it burns that long, that hot, there's still something left. And like I said, this house burned in less than an hour.
Right.
So the Sodders...
Yeah, it was just smoldering when the fire department got there.
By the time they got there, it was just ashes.
Yeah.
The Sodders started to believe that their 5 children had actually been kidnapped. So here's a quick...
climb the ladder and...
Swoop. Yeah, I guess. I hadn't even thought about that. So someone came up the ladder, took the kids, and then threw the ladder away. I didn't even think about that. Okay. So here's... They think that maybe they've been kidnapped. Here's a quick piece of something you don't know yet. George was a man with strong, loud opinions. Shocking. What?
In 1945.
He did not like Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. He thought he was just a fascist dictator, and that was not a popular opinion because remember how he lives in
Yes.
what I'm calling Little Italy, West Virginia.
Right.
A lot of Italian Americans thought that Mussolini was great and and this was actually in the article. He had made Italy great again. That's all I'll say. He frequently argued with others about this and had received threats over it. Can you believe that someone was threatened over their political opinion? What? But that was the 40s. It wouldn't happen now.
No, that's not a thing anymore.
I can't imagine. How bizarre.
How bizarre.
How bizarre. How bizarre. So anyway, the Sodders thought maybe the kids had been kidnapped by the mafia who didn't like George's anti-Mussolini rants.
Oh.
I think it's interesting that we jumped right to the mafia.
Yeah.
But I'm not Italian. And maybe is that a common... you automatically think of the mafia when you get... Maybe especially in the 40s.
I mean...
So...
Maybe.
Okay. We're not saying anything bad about the mafia.
Don't come after us.
I'm sure you're great. I don't know.
Don't come after us.
Just please.
Please
We're
don't.
just a true crime podcast. So anyway...
Don't come.
Whenever the remaining members of the Sodder family kind of start talking about it, they sort of put together this list of weird events that had happened in the months leading up to the fire. First, there was a stranger who had come to the home a few months earlier, back in the fall, asking about hauling work. He'd gone to the back of the house, pointed to 2 separate fuse boxes, and said, "This is going to cause a fire someday." Around the same time, another man showed up trying to sell the family life insurance. And when George didn't want to buy any, the man got real mad. And he was like, "Your house is going to go up in smoke and your children are going to be destroyed." That's a weird thing to me. Part of me is like, that's so specific that this isn't true.
Yeah.
It feels like a story someone added just to,
Right.
make it more dramatic.
Yeah.
But it was talked about in a
exactly
few
what
different
happened.
articles. So, and he said, "You're going to be paid for the dirty remarks you've been making about Mussolini."
What?
And George didn't take the man's
Oh, by
threats
the way,
seriously
since
at
you
the
won't
time.
buy my insurance,
Yeah.
this Mussolini
Gonna murder
thing,
your whole family.
This Mussolini thing is going down.
It feels too specific to be true,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I don't know.
The older Sodder sons also recalled another weird story. Right before Christmas, they'd noticed a man parked along U.S. Highway 21, intently watching the younger kids as they came home from school. So the Sodders go to the police, and they're like, you need to reopen your investigation.
Yeah.
Here's all the things.
Yeah.
And the police are like, there's no evidence of a crime here. We're not going to open it. I know. It's a little irritating. So, uh-oh. Where are we?
Oh, gosh.
Okay. So I went to the police. They said there's nothing to investigate. Uh-oh.
We got our pages mixed up.
Well, I think we're good. I think we're okay. Pause. Where'd it go? There's the first, second. No operator. Then the neighbor drove to the home. And then crematorium. Got it right here.
Thank you.
It was exactly where it was supposed to be. I just want to point that out. This is the page I was looking at. But told myself it was Hello, YouTube. All right.
This is us.
In 1947, 2 years after the fire, and the police have said we're not going to reopen the investigation, right. George and Jennie sent a letter about the case to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, also known as the FBI. And they received a reply from J. Edgar Hoover himself. He said, although I would like to be of service, the matter related appears to be of local character and does not come within the investigative jurisdiction of this bureau. Hoover's agent said they would assist if they could get permission from the local authorities, but the Fayetteville Police and Fire Departments declined the offer.
Would it be the WVBI?
Sure.
West Virginia Bureau of Investigations?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just said the letter came from J. Edgar Hoover, so she had to have written it to the federal.
Yeah. But they weren't willing to transfer it to
the local police and fire departments did not want their help. They were like, no, it's okay because there's no crime.
We don't want any part of this.
So
Mussolini will come after us.
I do wonder. Anyway.
So the Sodders, and see if he had other things like that.
They decided to hire a PI, which is mine and Kara's dream job.
Yep.
Not all that hard to do in Kentucky.
Nope.
Or to get certified in Kentucky. I think we both decided that's the next thing we're doing.
Right? Yeah, we're just adding that to our plate.
Anyway, so this PI turns up some interesting info. First off, the insurance salesman from the story that was like, your whole children are going to be destroyed. He was a member of the coroner's jury that had deemed the fire accidental, which is, at best, a conflict of interest.
Oh.
Secondly...
What's he doing as a side gig selling insurance?
I don't know. Look how many jobs we have.
That's true.
Who are you talking to?
That's true. Also, that's it's just going to give him more business.
Oh, God.
Because he's on the corner.
All right, in your time of need, can I offer you this?
Can I offer you some life insurance?
So the next thing, just get ready to be bummed out. Yeah. Okay. So the fire chief, F.J. Morris, the one who couldn't drive the fire truck, he confessed to a minister that he had found a heart among the ashes of the house, and he secretly packed the heart into a box and buried it. Your face. I'm real glad we have the video right now because your face. Huh? So the minister confirmed this story to George Sodder. So my first inclination is...
He must not be Catholic because they're supposed to keep that quiet.
Well, I wondered about that too. Isn't there some sort of...
Yeah.
They're Italian, so they probably are Catholic.
Yeah.
I'm like, that didn't happen. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Buried it?
Why would a fire chief do this? What on earth would be the motivation?
Why would that be the one thing left?
A heart?
Not bones.
Like a heart?
He didn't find bones. He found a heart. How would he know what a...
I just was like, no. That's how I cope. I'm just like, that didn't happen. That sounds awful.
If you stumbled upon a pile of internal organs...
would you know?
Would you know
boom,
that's a heart?
Heart. Liver.
Small intestine, large intestine, heart.
So,
what?
Here's the thing, though. When they confronted him about it. Morris admitted it was true. Oh. Why's my phone ringing? Stop. Okay. Decline.
I was like, what?
What are you going to hear? They confronted him about it. Morris admitted it was true. He took George to where he'd buried the box. And there was a box buried in the ground. So they dug it up.
On his property?
They didn't say where it was.
Okay.
But he had just buried it. So it's buried. They dig it up. They open it.
Nope.
And
there's dust.
I just wanted to see what would happen if I stopped there. What you would do.
There's peen in it. There's... Lorena Bobbitt.
But seriously, like, imagine being George Sodder in this moment. Like, you think your kids all died in the fire from which you couldn't save them. And then maybe you learned there were no remains in the ashes. And now you've heard that the fire chief found remains, apparently, and buried them in this box.
The 2 hours that he was there.
And then they go open it.
I mean, like, so he's just like, in the house. He bends down, picks it up, and is like looking around.
I'm not going to tell anybody about this, Heart.
Puts it in his bunker pants, keeps going.
Nobody needs to know.
Nobody needs to know.
So they opened the box, and there was flesh inside. I love you.
But a heart's not going to have... I mean, it's...
You look so mad about it. Just
this is flesh.
Okay.
Is a heart...
So... A local funeral director stated that what was in the box... Let me start that over. A local funeral director stated that what was in the box was fresh beef liver.
I'm going to go get some of this mingy jerky and put it in a box.
That had never been exposed to extreme heat. And this is where I was just like, what the hell is going on with this story? Like, what do you mean?
You know, I got these steaks in the fridge that are going to go bad. I might as well just toss it in this damn box. Also, that's... God.
Why would any of this happen? Don't know.
What the heck?
Some people think that the reason that Morris might have done this is because he wanted the Sodders to quit looking for their kids. And so that's why he suddenly makes up this story of, I did find some remains. I forgot to tell you. I didn't tell you. I buried them in a box.
Put them in my
It was a heart. That's the other thing. Like, it was a heart.
Like, I feel like a heart would be at least, like... And it's got valves on it.
It just seems like you could find some bones of something somewhere and then be like, that's what I found.
Here's this femur.
If you were going to fake this. But he's a fire chief who can't drive a fire truck, so let's lower our expectations just a time.
True.
Okay. Where was I? After I threw a fit. Okay. So... So they think maybe he knew what had really happened to the kids. Like he was trying to cover up the kidnapping.
Right. He was part of the mafia.
Why? Yeah. I mean,
why would they want a fire chief that can't drive a fire truck, though?
That's how he became the fire chief. Because he's in the mafia. He gets to do whatever he wants. Which is how it should be. Mafia, you're great.
Yeah, you're amazing.
We like you.
We don't come after us.
Now it's getting weird.
Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God.
I'm like condoning the mafia.
Are we a part of the mafia now?
That's how that works. It could also be that he thought he was providing closure to them.
Oh.
You know? So in a weird, completely messed up way.
Beefsteak in a box.
Like, let me help you.
Fleshy beef.
I did find a heart. But even all of that aside, whether you're faking it or if it's real, I don't know. Why would you bury it like that, too? That's such a weird way to handle... He's not good at this, is what I'm saying.
No, he's not good at anything, apparently.
So I put in here, I'm like, the weirdest part of all this for me is that, like, you're walking around, like you said, you look down, I'm like, oh, a heart. Let me squirrel this away for later. Yeah. Like, what? That's the story we're supposed to believe.
Like, did you go to the local, like, IGA and just were like, hey, I
need this liver that looks heartish.
Yeah. I need an organ of some
Who's
sort.
going to know?
Yeah.
They're not going to know.
Nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to know. Okay, so the Sodders never really let go of the idea that their kids had been kidnapped. They put up billboards and advertisements And several articles mention that for decades, as you were driving into Fayetteville, you passed this billboard that had all 5 of the kids' pictures on it with their names and ages stenciled underneath.
Oh.
And like they were like, you know, please let us know if you have any information. And there were people who came forward claiming to have seen the children.
Oh.
A woman claimed to have seen them peering from a passing car the night the fire happened.
Oh.
A woman operating a tourist stop between Fayetteville and Charleston, which is about 50 miles west, said that she saw the children the morning after the fire. She said that she served them breakfast, and they were in a car.
I mean, at least somebody's feeding them.
with Florida license plates. A woman at a Charleston hotel saw the children's photos in the newspaper and said she had seen 4 of the 5 a week after the fire, and they were accompanied by 2 men and 2 women, all of Italian extraction. Italian extraction. She said she didn't remember the exact date, though. But the entire party did register at the hotel and stayed in a large room with several beds. They showed up in the middle of the night. And when she tried to talk to the children, the men were like hostile and refused to allow her to.
Oh.
No. So then they like all stopped talking to her and they left early the next morning. Sometime between 1947 and 1949, George saw a newspaper photo of school children in New York City, and he was convinced that one of them was his daughter, Betty. He drove to Manhattan, but the girl in the picture, her parents refused to speak to him. Which I don't know. Maybe you would. If this is some weird man. What's
showing up at my doorstep?
Talking about my daughter?
Yeah.
In August of 1949, the Sodders decided to search the fire scene again. So this is 4 years after the fire.
Okay.
And remember, he had basically preserved the fire scene by burying it. They brought in Washington, D.C. pathologist Oscar B. Hunter. It's a great name.
I love it.
The excavation was thorough, uncovering several small objects, damaged coins, a partly burned dictionary, and several shards of vertebrae.
Ooh.
He sent the bones to the Smithsonian Institution, which issued the following report. I'm going to read this word for word. This is not my normal language, so I'll be ready.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, it's English, but barely.
She starts speaking in, like, Lithuanian.
Suddenly, yeah. The human bones consist of... I feel like I'm doing a report. The human bones consist of 4 lumbar vertebrae belonging to one individual. Since the transverse recesses are fused, the age of this individual at death should have been 16 or 17 years. And the top limit of the age should be about 22 because another part was not fused.
Oh.
So remember, the oldest of the kids that they're saying died in the fire was 14.
Right.
So on this basis, the bones show greater skeletal maturation than one should expect for a 14-year-old boy. It is, however, possible, although not probable, for a boy 14 and a half years old to show 16 to 17-year maturation.
Okay.
Maturation. Not sure. The vertebrae shows no evidence that they have been exposed to fire. And it is very strange that no other bones were found in the allegedly careful evacuation of the basement of the house. Noting that the house reportedly burned for only about half an hour or so, it said that one would expect to find the full skeletons of the 5 children rather than only 4 vertebrae. The bones, the report concluded, were most likely in the supply of dirt that George had used to cover up the scene.
Oh.
What are the freaking odds, though? Like,
so there's more bodies out there.
Just in the dirt. Okay, so
Next time you go to your local garden center, check your dirt.
the vertebrae. The Smithsonian report prompted 2 hearings at the Capitol in Charleston, after which Governor Okie L. Patterson and State Police Superintendent W.E. Burchett told the Sodders, "The search is hopeless. The case is closed." Because, again, they don't think any crime has happened.
Right.
I'm sure to them, they're like, you all just don't want to believe.
Yeah, you all can't give it up.
Meanwhile, people are still calling in sightings, perhaps motivated by the $10,000 reward that the Sodders were offering for information.
Yeah. Which is a lot of money.
A lot of money, especially back then.
Yeah.
A letter arrived from a woman in St. Louis saying the oldest girl, Martha, was in a convent there. Another tip came from Texas, where a patron in a bar overheard a conversation about a long ago Christmas Eve fire in West Virginia. Someone in Florida said that the children were staying with a relative of Jennie's, and George traveled all over the country investigating all these leads.
Oh my gosh.
Never figured out anything. In 1967, 22 years after the fire, Jennie Sodder got an envelope in the mail addressed only to her. It was postmarked in Kentucky, but had no return address. And inside was a photo of a man in his mid-20s. On the back, there was a handwritten note that said, Louis Sodder. I love Brother Frankie. ILIL. So ILIL boys. A90132 or 35. I don't know what any of that part means. She and George could not deny the resemblance to their son, who was 9 at the time of the fire. The man in the photo...
Somebody is
Nope.
getting it out there.
Uncalled for.
We're in Nicholasville.
The man in the photo had dark curly hair and dark brown eyes, just like their son, and also had the same straight, strong nose and the same upward tilt of the left eyebrow. So
He had the people's brow.
you guys, he had the the people's eyebrow. You can see this on our Instagram. I'll put it up there with the rest of the pictures. They have them side by side, and they do look a lot alike. So once again, they hired a private detective and sent him to Kentucky.
Oh.
They never heard from him again. That PI just took their money and was like,
Bye, Felicia.
deuces. So that totally could have been a prank by some just monster of a person.
Right.
The story was national news, so, you know, it's easy that it could have been a prank.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was from someone who truly did think that it was him. But, like, why would you not give any more information? Like,
Right.
if you were trying to help.
Yeah.
Unless it's just you wanted them to know without knowing. Like, look, they didn't die in the fire. Now
Yeah.
leave it alone. That
Yeah.
kind of thing. So the Sodders updated the billboard to include the updated image of Louis. And that photo was the last piece of evidence that the Sodders found in their search.
Oh.
George did an interview and said, "Time is running out for us, but we only want to know. If they died in the fire, we just want to be convinced. Otherwise, we want to know what happened to them."
Yeah.
He died a year later. I know, it's the saddest thing. Jennie died in 1989. So she lived for what, 21 more years?
Yeah.
And after she died, the billboard finally came down. That part really got to me. I'm like, this happened in 1947.
But they're still living siblings.
And that billboard stayed up till 1989.
Yeah.
So the remaining Sodder children and grandchildren continued the investigation and came up with theories of their own. The local mafia had tried to recruit George and he declined. They tried to extort money from him and he refused. The children were kidnapped by someone they knew, someone who burst into the unlocked front door. But the thing is, she said she'd locked the door before she went to bed.
Yeah.
But told them about the fire and offered to take them someplace safe. They might not have survived the night, but if they did, if they had, and if they lived for decades, like if that really was their son in that photograph, they failed to contact their parents only because they wanted to protect them. Because that's another thing. These kids were 5 to 14. It's not like you're kidnapping a baby who doesn't know they were kidnapped.
Right.
So Sylvia Sodder, the youngest of the children, is still alive, or at least she was as of 2019, and I couldn't find an obituary or anything that, telling me otherwise. She'd be about 78 now, and she does not believe her siblings died in the fire. When time permits, she visits crime-sleuthing websites and engages with people still interested in her family's mystery. I'm certain we would love her. Like, we would love her. I will say, I do find it really odd that in all the articles I read, no one mentions seeing the children trying to escape or hearing them calling for help.
I was going to say, they would be, I mean, it would have woken them up. Nobody's that sound of a sleeper when
There's
the house
5
is
of
burning
them,
for
so you would think
long.
One of the 5 of them.
I mean, unless they were drugged and something happened before the fire happened.
Right.
But.
So, and they're old enough that, like, they can move around independently. They can communicate. Like, these aren't, like, young children.
Yeah, and the older kids would have known what to do.
Yeah. So, that's weird to me. But if they were kidnapped, why? And just the 5 of them? Why just the 5 of them?
Yeah, it's not like anybody held them ransom.
Right, because nobody ever asked for ransom. And so what was the purpose? Like, if it was the mafia and this was supposed to send some sort of message to George, they never clarified the message.
Right.
Like, George never knew.
Right. So
it wasn't very, the mafia is supposed to be pretty good at this.
Yeah.
So it's like, You think they would have made sure their message got across, but they didn't. But on the other hand, if they died in the fire, why didn't they find anything?
Yeah.
So it is very just like...
Aside from a beefsteak in a box.
Which is the most ridiculous story ever. So that's it. I mean, that's the story. That's all I got. Do you think they were kidnapped? Or do you think they died in the fire?
No, I think they were kidnapped. They had to have been. There's no... Yeah. Like, if there was a dictionary still partially there, you would find pieces. You'd find teeth. You'd find bones.
Yeah. But then, how do 5 people, unless they were kidnapped and then murdered?
Yeah.
Because if they were 5 people who were kidnapped and then, like, taken somewhere to live their life, that... How would you have kept it a
does
secret?
the mafia have an adoption agency or something? Like, what?
I don't know. And then you think with, like, especially these days with things like 23andMe or whatever, that they would be able to figure out, like, these people are related. I don't know.
Ooh.
So that's the story of the Sodder family. Yeah.
Huh.
So there you go.
I want to go.
To the mystery hole.
Let's go dig it up.
We'll go to... so one of the articles did say that the site was still there and they had turned it into like a memorial garden, but I'm not sure how old that article was. So maybe it's like a, I wonder if it's still there.
Yeah.
If you are familiar with the area or around the area, I'd love to hear any information you have about it. Yeah. Which is magicmurdermystery@gmail.com.
Or hit us up on Instagram.
Yes. Also,
which is Magic Murder Mystery.
And now you can find us on YouTube.
And here we are. Hey, guys.
So that's the end of this episode.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I know. I told you it was a heck of a story. The more I dug into it, the more I was like, what? I
had heard bits and pieces about the situation, but I didn't know all of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The liver story is just like, what? So...
I'm going to go phone a firefighter friend now and be like, okay.
Please do. Yeah. James. Let's hear everything James has to say.
Yeah, James, we need to know.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for always listening.
Yeah.
And come find us on all the places. Tell your friends about it.
New places.
All the new places. You can watch us, all the parts that we've edited out of the podcast that you don't get to hear, you get to see on here. And there have been some moments.
Welcome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, wait. Goodbye.
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 Goodbye.